he will get them into the right play or at least know where to go on a given play before the ball is snapped. I talked to Hokie about that last week, about how so many NFL games are won in those seconds before the snap. I saw Ray Lewis on a thing a couple weeks back. Everybody laughs at the green dot, like the communicator. What does that matter? Ray Lewis was talking about specific plays where he recognized stuff right before the snap and put his teammates in position to make like landmark plays for the Ravens, where if they don't make those plays, they probably never win a Super Bowl with him on their team.
See, the preparation element of these games is highly underrated in terms of what we talk about. That's how you win games, by understanding certain situations and formations that you see through film study.
And then there's those 15 seconds where all the microphones are off, where it's a battle of the brains at the line of scrimmage.
That's
Who's recognizing what? Who's making that last shift? That's how Brady beat teams. Remember talking to Ray Horton, the Steelers defensive coordinator. He beats us with his brain more than any other quarterback. That's how he beats us.
Brain and with your eyes, knowing how to manipulate people around using your eyes.
Yes.
And smart enough to know where everybody is so you don't have to stare down a receiver. And when you don't do that, you create it's the same concept of play action. If you stare here and locked in on one guy, your chances are you're not going to have a lot of success.
It all falls under the umbrella of reading a defense. Can you read a defense? That goes.
And that's the hardest thing about any of these guys who come out. They're all athletically gifted. And they have strong arms. They got to know how to read a defense.
Right. And that's why so many fail. Having talked to a bunch of people about this, the reason that you still can't pinpoint quarterbacks is because the environment they face in college is impossible to replicate in the NFL in terms of, can you identify where to go quickly, either before the snap or after it?
With someone about to hit you.
Yes. Coming at a higher rate of speed than they do for Northwestern. It's, can you read a defense? Period. Somebody like C.J. Stroud comes in the NFL, he can do it. Russell Wilson does it.
Jaden Daniels.
Justin Fields, unfortunately, doesn't.
Trubisky. That was one of the things that people said about him.
Trubisky doesn't. Johnny Manziel didn't. Tim Tebow didn't. There's so many. And plus, Tim Tebow couldn't throw the ball. That was an issue. But
except for that one day in Denver in overtime.
That's right. But that's the deal with quarterbacks. If you're going to succeed long-term at that position, you have to be able to read a defense. Period. That's it. You watch Russell Wilson. You watch C.J. Stroud. You watch other superior quarterbacks in the league, and then you watch a guy like Anthony Richardson. He's completing 44% of his passes. He's telling people in Indy, I'm great. I'm a great passer. What?
Well, he has an arm, and he can make those throws, but he doesn't know when to throw them or if he should throw them.
Right.
And it leads to bad interceptions and bad-looking plays. And until he gets that part of it, I don't care how athletic you are, you're not going to be that successful. The one thing about Lamar Jackson, as I've seen, he always is a threat with his legs. That won't change. But what now he's doing is recognizing things more as a passer. And his passing numbers have very much improved to the point now where you don't know how to necessarily deal with him, most teams.
He's proof.
Even yesterday, they didn't lose the game because somebody said, well, look at Lamar Jackson.
He was
unbelievable. It had nothing to do with Lamar Jackson.
Did you see they had guys what about the drop ball by Flowers over the middle of the field?
But his performance had nothing to do with that loss. It was their defense that gave up and should have made plays to lock the game down, and they never did.
I think a lot of people yesterday would have taken a quarterback who threw for 289, 2 touchdowns, no picks, a 101 rating, and ran for 46 yards. So
on the road. Doesn't matter who you're playing. You do that, you should win.
But he's an example of a guy who you can actually develop that, a lot as an NFL quarterback, the ability to read a defense, the ability to adjust and get into what you need to before the snap or recognize something before the snap. Because you're right. He's become really good at that. And that's people who know way more about this than me breaking it down, But there are other guys. Chances are pretty good if you don't get it early, you're probably not going to get it.
No. And I think, you could look at a several amount of years and understand that. If you're in there toiling around here 3-4 years into your career and you haven't gotten it yet, you're not going to get it. You're going to be a backup.
And then if you find a guy who has all the physical, like imagine like Anthony Richardson with Mahomes' approach to the game, you know what I mean? Or, something like that. Then you get a guy like Mahomes or Lamar who has all the physical skills and the recognition skills, the ability to read the defense, and then you get what you get with those guys. Josh Allen, another example.
Right, Josh Allen. And they all have that innate ability to navigate the pocket. When they feel pressure, they don't have to necessarily run, bail out, and just turn it on. They will figure out openings that they can get to so they keep plays alive while looking down the field. That's another thing that makes a quarterback so difficult.
The play by Wilson, the little throw to Freiermuth. That's why Bill Belichick, of all people, sits there and watches it and is more emotive in that than he was at any news conference in his career.
I totally agree. And a little play. There are little plays that make a huge difference.